Hello, welcome to the One Life Church devotional series. We cover the entire Bible in 20 months. Well, today's chapters are John 21. We come to the end of the Gospel of John, and we deal with Psalm 5. Now, in John 21, we find Jesus down at the beach. I'm at the beach today. I've got a little friend here. Can you see this seal sitting next to me on this rock? And then out at sea, there's some fishing boats, and there's some guys fishing off those fishing skis. It's a beautiful day. And Jesus was down at the beach. This was the third time he met his disciples after he was risen from the dead. And you would think, maybe go to a temple, go to a synagogue. No, he goes to the beach. And they were 100 meters out, the Bible says. So he shouted, he must have had a very loud voice, "Friends, have you caught anything?" And they said, "No, we've been fishing all night." He says, "Well, put your net down on the right-hand side of the boat." I mean, they tried. Nothing had happened, but they thought, well, what can we lose? They put it down, and such a great haul comes in that they couldn't believe it. Peter realizes, because John says, look, this might be Jesus. He jumps off, he swims to shore to see Jesus. John, with all the responsible disciples, of course, drags the fish ashore. But there's this little line that says, and the nets didn't even break. When God blesses you, he doesn't intend it to break you. No, the nets didn't even break as the great blessing came. And I've often seen people walk into blessing and let it entrap them, let it ensnare them. No, when God blesses you, he intends you to, like Peter, run to Jesus. Like John, declare this is Jesus. Anyway, when they're on the beach, what is Jesus doing? He's not pulling out the Torah. He's not like about to give a speech. No, he's got a braai going. A braai. He's got coals burning on the beach. You see, the wonder of the new covenant is that God has restored a relationship with him, which means we have a relationship with each other. That's the wonder of church, that because we're connected to God, we can be connected to each other. And so he says, he underlines this by saying, let's pray together. And they get a fish. Peter goes and fetches the fish, and Jesus gives it to them. Then he walks Peter down the beach, and he says to him 3 times, because remember, Peter had denied him 3 times. I'm not going to let your denial, that's effectively what he's saying, stop you ministering for me. I want you to feed my sheep. I want you to love my people. I want you to look after them, especially the vulnerable ones. And Peter it was uncomfortable for Peter, but because all of us, when we've messed up, we feel like we're disqualified, aren't we? But here's Jesus qualifying Peter. And he intends it not just to qualify Peter for the next month, but for the rest of his life. So he gives him a long-range view of the future, and he says to him, this is how you're going to die. Someone's going to lead you around by the hand as an old man. Now, just look what this does to Peter. Remember Acts 12. Peter in prison. Herod has incarcerated him. He's just taken the head off James and seen that it pleased the people. So Peter could easily have concluded, I'm going to die like my mate James. But Peter's asleep. He's asleep in the prison cell. An angel has to wake him up. Why is he so at peace about his future? Because Jesus had spoken into his future and said to him, as an old man, you can't die like this. You're going to die as an old man. Well, Peter really received that and said, now what about my friend John? And Jesus said, no, don't you worry about John, which set up a little rumor going. You can read about that at the end of the chapter. But let's now go to Psalm 5. Remember in Psalm 3, Absalom had planned an insurrection against David. And that's his cry, that's his lament. Psalm 4, people were in a drought and they're threatening to turn to Baal. And that's David's lament. Now, what's going on in chapter 5? Well, I think people are speaking badly of him. Because let's have a look at it. I think it's verse 9. It says, not a word from their mouth can be trusted. Their heart is filled with malice. Their throats are an open grave. Their tongues tell lies. Declare them guilty, O God. Let their intrigue be their downfall. Now, many times in David's life, people bad-mouthed him. There was a guy, Dog, remember him? He went and split on him to Saul. There were others that really spoke ill of David. And I think it was one of these moments. Now, what do you do when people speak bad of you? When people accuse Jesus, what did he do? He was silent. That's a Christ-like way to handle accusation, just to be silent and let God defend you. But in this instance, David isn't silent. Well, he's silent to the people. He goes before the Lord and he says this. He says, I cry for help In the morning, I lay my requests before the Lord and I wait expectantly, because I know that you don't promote wickedness. I know that you don't tolerate those who do wrong. And by your great love, I can come to you. I can, in reverence, bow down to you, and you can lead me. I know you can. And then he declares, this is what they're saying to me, God. But I take refuge in you, verse 11. And I want to sing and be glad, and I hide under you for your protection and you as my shield. When people speak bad of you, you can come before the Lord. You can be silent before them and come before the Lord and say, Lord, this is me. I'm not perfect, but this is me. Please protect me. Please handle the situation. That's what Psalm 5 is about.